Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%. This June, France is hosting the Women's World Cup. That's right, the biggest event in women's football with some 24 teams competing from across the globe. And for this special edition, we're here in Lyon, which will be hosting both the semi-finals and final. Around 1 billion people will be watching the World Cup. This is an estimated 30 million women and girls play the sport across the globe. Yet it's far from being a level playing field when you compare women's football to men's.
Women's football hit its first golden age at the beginning of the 20th century, with matches in the UK drawing thousands of spectators. But in 1921, England's Football Association deemed the sport unsuitable for women and forbade them from playing. It was half a century before that ban would be lifted, but the damage was done, paving the way for today's stark inequalities between men and women's football. Female players across the world lack funding and support. In the US, they're paid as little as 40% of what their male counterparts earn. That's why, in March, the national soccer team sued the country's federation for pay discrimination. Meanwhile, in France, female footballers often have other jobs on the side. Some have to take unpaid leave in order to play. A star like Neymar at Paris Saint-Germain earns more than the world's top 1,693 female players combined. But there are bright spots. In Jordan, a pioneering women's team have fought prejudice in the conservative country to become the best team in the Middle East. And the women's game is still growing. Participation is on the rise all over the world, and fans are turning up. During the 2015 Women's World Cup, the US vs. Japan final was the most watched football match in US history.
In a surprising move, the world's best female football player, Ada Hegerberg, who won last year's Ballon D'Or, will not be taking part in the World Cup. She quit the Norwegian squad in protest of what she says is a lack of respect for female players. We went to meet the footballer who now plays for the French team, Olympique Lyonnais. Ada Hegerberg, thanks for your time. How hard is it for you to sit here so close to the stadium, which is behind us, which of course is going to host both the semi-finals and final in the tournament, and know that you're not going to be taking part?
It's not that hard, really, not today. I knew what the decision brought me, the consequences behind a decision like that. So today it's kind of it's in the past, so I'm gonna be watching the World Cup, excited to see teammates playing. I hope it's gonna be a interesting World Cup, that people will enjoy the games, that we have a high level, high intensity in the games.
But you made the decision after the Norwegian Football Federation had signed off on a historic agreement to ensure equal pay for both men and women.
Because in the end, it's not about money either. It's all about attitude and respect for the sport. Women being treated equally as men. And it's the funny part, because obviously I've never been thinking about money doing this sport. There's no money in women's football, or that's not what you dream of, first of all. It's getting bigger now. But on the other side, it's all about the attitude. Where do you put your woman in the spot they deserve? And in that case, I didn't feel it was good enough. And that decision came along before their decision of paying equally.
So how much does women's football lag behind men's?
A lot, I would say, a lot. Everyone can see that. Historically, you'll see all these numbers. I'm just not that focused on that part, to be honest. I'm always focused on what needs to be done for us to continue moving in the right direction. Always try to look on the positive part as well, because obviously if you're too caught up in the negative sides, I think you're going to be quite lost. But it's all about, I always try to look on what we players can do. And obviously it's to train hard, work well, and to increase the level in the game, which is the most important thing, so that people actually can't outsee us. But also stand together and use that voice we have to push for the change. I think it's really important that even though we're grateful for the changes that are coming, you still need to have that critical eye of, is the action coming as well as the talks?
But it's hard to stand up and say, this is not right, things have to change, isn't it?
I mean, it is. But at the same time, if you're really certain about your values and who you are and where you want to go, I think it's quite easier to stand up, and it's much easier to stand up when you're you're a big group of people.
How much support are you getting from your fellow male players?
First of all, the respect, the mutual respect, I wanted to say. We see each other every day, so it's quite normal for us to back up each other. They're here for the big games. We're here for every game, we could say. So I think we can learn from each other, you know.
So they're there for you?
They are, at least a lot of them.
FIFA says it wants to make women's football a top priority with the aim of attracting somewhere in the order of 60 million players by 2026. In order for that to happen, what needs to change?
That's a lot of numbers, but obviously creating a world where young boys and girls can have equal opportunities to actually dream of becoming a footballer is something exciting and something everyone should be conscious about. Obviously, all of us should have the same opportunities to dream big, I would say, not only in football, but in the society as well. So.
And who inspired you as a child?
My mom inspired me, I would say. She always gave me that confident voice, believing in myself without losing my humility. I feel that people mix up that all the time. I feel that every time a girl or a woman has an opinion, it's all about being a diva or an ego person, and that's a thing that we need to stop. It's a harsh thing to, in the society in general. So giving me that self-belief has meant everything for me, for my career, but also for me as a human being.
Finally, which team should we be watching in the World Cup? I know obviously your loyalties lie with Norway, but who would you pick?
It's a good question. I think it's hard to predict a winner in front of a tournament, because it's all about having that little bit of luck, you would say, the good start. But you always have the big nations historically. But it's hard to mention one. I think obviously for France, playing at home ground is a huge boost. But still, you have big nations as US and Germany and Japan and Spain even, you know. So it's hard to predict one.
Ada, it's been great speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Now, the issue for women players sometimes goes way beyond wage parity. In Colombia, for example, a Me Too movement began to emerge following allegations of sexual harassment and discrimination targeting teenage female players became public.
Hoping to level the playing field, in February, 2 members of Colombia's national women's football team posted this video on Twitter to draw attention to the harsh realities of the sport.
We feel threatened. They don't pay us. There's no international flights. The uniforms are old. The Federation has cut off players for speaking up. They tried to sell me my own jersey. We're not afraid anymore. We're here to speak up.
A month later, more allegations came to light, this time of a graver nature. Carolina Rozzo, who worked as a physio for the women's under-17s, accused former coach Didier Luna of inappropriately touching, intimidating, and sexually harassing players and staff, including minors.
He told me, "I just want you to open your heart to me." I told him that it was inappropriate, that he shouldn't say things like that. I said, "I don't want it. Please respect my decision." That's when he got angry and said, "Okay, I won't ask anymore, but be ready to face the consequences."
Rozzo alerted her superiors, but received no response. It was only weeks later, when her story began to spread on social media, that Colombia's Football Federation decided to dismiss Luna and to issue the following statement.
FIFA and the South American Football Federation energetically condemn all cases of sexual and professional abuse, of violence, and the violation of women's and children's rights.
Colombia is one of several countries to have drawn attention to the plight of women footballers in recent years. And if there's still a long way to go to close the gender gap in football, the Women's World Cup could provide the perfect platform for players to make their voices heard.
Despite the obstacles, women's football is booming, and the World Cup is already guaranteed to inspire a new generation of players like these young girls at the FC Girland Club in Lyon. What made you decide to play football?
My brother was already at a football club, and we would often play football together at home, which made me want to play too.
Boys football is always on normal channels, but not girls football. It's like only a few matches, but not really important ones. Maybe also like a channel just like for girls football, because like boys have that, but not girls, so it's kind of unfair.
Boys say, we're better than you, but then we girls score and they don't say anything.
When I dribble, the boys are not happy because I'm a girl, and yet they all want me in their team because I'm good.
And that's it for this special edition coming to you from Lyon. We're now going to leave you with images taken by photographers of girls playing football across the world. And of course, we can't end this show without saying, may the best team win in the World Cup. So until our next program, bye for now.